Hello everyone, in this video I would love to tell you my story, how I learned languages. And the story I first want to tell you is a story of failures and successes. So I think it's important for you to know that if you just had failures until now, this doesn't mean that you necessarily will always have failures. I think I will put you some other YouTubers in the description where you can see that I'm definitely not the only one. Where looking at school you could have thought that I can't learn languages so good, or I have a problem in learning languages. And I think last half year I have pretty much proven that this is not the case. So I'm now convinced that there is no polyglot gene or some stupid thing like that, that your brain is born like intelligent or stupid. No, it depends on how you learn. Do you love to learn or don't you? And the more failures you had, of course, the more difficult it is to start loving doing anything than if you had successes, because everybody likes to have success. So I have here some brainstorming of my story. When I make the same video in German, I will make it a little better, I think. So I will start. Around the age of 11, I started learning English at school. Here you see a not very happy face, because I didn't really like my teacher. And I didn't like his way of teaching, and I couldn't really understand what he was saying, and so I started having problems with English. Then with 13, this was my first very positive experience of language learning. Here I had a very good teacher, and I could understand everything he said. I was very happy in French. Very fast after it, I made an exchange to France. I started writing letters to a pen pal, or how do you say in English? So a friend which you will write to and exchange letters with. So this was a very beautiful experience, and which helped me to learn French very fast and to a nice level. Well, not perfection, of course. But we will come to the word perfect or perfection maybe in another video, maybe a little bit more in this one. So I first want to continue. With 15 years, I started learning Spanish, because after French I got motivated. This is important for you to know. So here I had a downfall, here I had a success, then I came to Spanish. And Spanish, wasn't such a good experience. I'm not sure if I was 15 or 14 or 16, but something around this. I learned Spanish, I don't remember, half a year or something about that. The one thing I learned was, how is my name? And, to say, what's my name? And, I think I couldn't even ask how you are. ¿Cómo estás? Because I remember that what she explained with usted and ustedes was so complicated that I didn't get it. So, downfall. Here, I tried again because, Spanish didn't work, but from French I knew that I could do it. So, maybe it was the language that I didn't like, and honestly, after this Spanish experience, it took a long time here where I didn't like Spanish. It's not very long that I restarted loving Spanish. And for all this time I didn't. So in the age of 16 and just to 18, I tried some special things. In each of these languages, Turkish, Russian, Italian, I learned very, very little. Some sentences. I tried a little outside. I know that one time I ordered a pizza in Italian. This was a nice experience, but another time I tried it with ice cream, and they were telling me that they don't speak Spanish. And I really spoke Italian, maybe with a bad accent, because I just had studied with books and never spoken to an Italian person. So yeah, that might be the reason. And this was not such a nice experience. Another time with Turkish, for example, someone told me something in Turkish and I answered him in Turkish. So I tried to be gentle. I answered him that I wouldn't understand him, and he was very aggressive in telling me that this was a Turkish area and I needed to speak Turkish there. So a racist against the nationality of the country, because we were in Germany, and well, it is quite strange to be racisted, if you can call it like that, in your own country. Okay, but well, yeah, I experienced that, and this was not so nice. So short after these bad experiences of Spanish and other languages, I did my A-levels, I got married, I got pregnant, I started my studies and had children. So the result, I didn't have any time anymore. So here you see, because I'm questioning the no time, because now I'm convinced that you have always time. The question is how you learn. So over 10 years I got in very close contact with Arabic, because I was, you hear the videos of my husband, so you know that my husband is pretty well speaking Arabic. But, well, the problem is there is not just one language that he speaks as native language, there are 3 of them. And so I always asked myself to start with which one, and I always tried to get a head start in one of them, but, well, I didn't really find the key how to open one of these doors. Yeah, this was the problem, that there are 3 languages, and yeah, so yes, one problem was that I had in my mind that I would need lectures, I would need classes, I would need a school where I could go. And, well, when you have children and you're going to university and you're doing the household, then you don't really have time to go to classes, especially with little children. It's difficult to have some regular classes when you're also studying, writing exams, etc., etc. So, yeah, then, and the problem is for free. I could just get classes in another city. I would have needed to drive there. And for money, well, as a student, you don't have so much money, and so, well, I wasn't really ready to pay, I don't know, 400 or 500 euros a month for learning Arabic, especially because I had learned that you can learn for a year or half a year or whatever I learned there, and you won't get any better. So, well, first I finished the timetable. So there is 10 years I didn't do anything about languages. Of course, sometimes I asked the vocabulary, but I forgot most of it. I couldn't remember. I always had the feeling that I'm too stupid to learn Arabic, and I heard a lot that this is a difficult language and you can't do it, etc., etc. So, in May 2015, I decided that I really need to learn Arabic, that I really wish for it, because you feel stupid when you're surrounded by Arabic people and you can't understand them all the time. Yeah, I decided that if I can't go to classes, I must try it again with YouTube. It's not that I didn't have tried it with YouTube before, but, well, you know, on YouTube there are millions and millions of videos, so sometimes it's difficult to find the good ones. And yeah, so, well, I didn't find good ones before. So, in May 2015, yeah, on Plus, I had the motivation that my work a little got on my nerves, and there you can be the best, you can know everything, and still you're not good enough for them. So, yeah. It's a mixture of studying and working, and you need to write exams all the time. And I think after doing my first exam, I'm a little tired of learning. I don't know. So, yeah, this was one motivation as well. And yeah, so yeah, this is now interesting. So I started learning Arabic. My idea was that from now on, I would learn Arabic every day. Well, I didn't, but from that day on, when I took this decision, I learned language every day. I didn't always learn Arabic, but there came some other languages. So I started learning Arabic, then I had some problems in finding a teacher who would help me. I had some problems in finding good videos after I found one, but well, you can't listen to one video for 200,000 million times. It gets a little boring. So when I got frustrated about Arabic, I started a little bit with Italian. Also because there were some videos where you can learn Arabic from Italian, and this is very nice that they're sometimes switching to English. So I could understand the basic ideas and still learn some Arabic from videos in Italian. The same for Spanish, and also Turkish. I used this method. So this got me a little key to these languages, and then, well, but this was all I did about Italian. I did never really restart learning it. But maybe for Italian it's fair to tell you that back here in this experience, well, over, I don't know, 15 years or 10 years or something ago, there was 1 month, I think it was 4 weeks or something, where I really read a lot of books about Italian grammar, vocabulary, and everything, but I never have spoken to anyone, and so I didn't know the pronunciation. I also didn't have any audios. I didn't have internet back then, and yeah. So here, so I learned Italian a little. Then in August I did Spanish. Before in July I did 3 weeks of Turkish, but with Turkish again I had the problem that I couldn't find anybody who would really be my teacher, so translate me a lot of things, etc. And yeah, so okay. Then my highlight was Russian, really. Because with Italian and Spanish, I always could say, yeah, they are so close to French, and well, so in Spanish I did 1 year, and Italian I learned a little bit. So with these languages, I could explain myself that I am still stupid and I still can't learn languages. It's just chance. Well, I don't know. The own brain can be very mean, and so I didn't feel, even then I didn't feel that confident. And Turkish I didn't get so far with. So, but in Russian, then I really didn't know. Yeah, the same like, I don't know, in Turkish, I knew, for example, how are you? No, I remember exactly that I looked up Kakdila. So I didn't know it before. But there were, I could say, for example, universitetje, but I think this was pretty much the only word that I knew in Russian. So you could consider it too that I didn't know anything. Yeah, so I started learning Russian, and I think the best decision that I ever made was that I searched for a teacher right in the beginning. And so I didn't even learn Russian for 10 days when I got my first teacher. And I didn't tell her that I just had learned Russian for 10 days, so she didn't know. I now know her very well, and I think she would have helped me the same good way that she did if she would have known. But it felt better for me because I needed to, I don't know, it motivated me that she didn't know that I am a total beginner. And so she also didn't treat me like a total beginner, because I think she thought that I would have learned it a little longer. Yeah, so, and after this I made the decision that I would want to come back to my decision that I made at first. So I came back to Arabic. And somewhere here in November I opened my channel because I wanted to share all my experiences that I made, and because I have learned so much from other YouTubers, and I didn't find a similar channel to my favorite channel in German. So, well, I wanted to take all my experiences, which I have collected by learning the other languages, and share them to the German learners. Yeah, so I opened my channel. Yeah, so for example now, for my future and for your future maybe as well, if you want to join me. First, for every language, it's good that you have contact, because especially if you do so crazy things that I did to mix languages, then you really need for every language at best someone who's native speaker and who talks with you. So you can take italki. There is also Hello Talk. There is well, I discovered today, how is it called? Paul Talk or something like this. They're for free. You don't need to pay anything if you don't want to take all of it. But if you just want to have a native speaker, you can easily get one without paying anything. So you really should learn every day. And if it's just 5 minutes, it is possible. Even if you're working 40 hours a week or more, it is possible to just think when you fall asleep. Think in a language. This is, for example, what I did with Italian and Spanish, and I didn't learn so much grammar or anything in these languages. Yeah. Ah, yes, for Italian, I totally forgot to tell you that somewhere here was a time where I met a person who just spoke Italian and not German, and I wanted to help her a little with German. And so I talked to her, and we could just talk in Italian. She also speaks Arabic, but, well, back then I wasn't so good at Arabic, so I couldn't talk with her in Arabic. I needed to talk Italian, and I did it for 2 hours, and this was the first ever Italian conversation I had. And I had a huge headache after it, but still, I did it, and I was so happy that I managed doing this, and with this it was also very motivating me. So learning every day is very important, or the best. At least you shouldn't wait 2 or 3 or more days where you don't learn anything. And then it's, of course, you should discover your own interests. Me, for example, also how you choose your, this is how I wrote something, how you choose your language. It depends on, for me, for example, I love languages where I can help most people with, etc. So I have some reasons how I choose my languages, so that I can help others in everyday life. When I'm going on the street and I see some Russian, I can now help him to find the next supermarket, or to go to the hospital or wherever he needs to go. I can understand what he wants at least, if he's talking slowly, of course. Languages, the languages that I choose, I also don't want to have this negative experience anymore where you don't find anything. So, of course, if you learn languages like Chinese, Russian, Arabic, it's much easier to find teachers. It's much easier to find books, YouTube videos, because because there are much more learners, there are much more native speakers. And then for me, for my job, because I think I want to work in this direction where I can use languages to communicate with different politic people. And so if you talk the language, it's much easier that they will be nice to you and that they will consider your arguments and maybe think about them before rejecting them. So what is important now? Yeah, first, the brain doesn't forget. I especially saw this with Italian, because if my brain would have forgotten everything, I wouldn't have been able to have these 2 hours talk when I didn't repeat the grammar and everything. And I remembered when I needed to talk to her, I remembered suddenly a lot of things that I had studied 10 years ago. So you remember. It's just a question, it takes some time of remembering. So you can't expect yourself that if you learn something 10 years ago that you will, it will come out of you like, I don't know, like the rain. But I don't know how to express this in English fluently. It won't come fluently. But yeah, if you make the effort of remembering, so this is the reason why I had such a headache. Yeah, so yeah, then you can remember. Yeah, this is about my Italian experience, exactly. Yeah, and this is very important. Look, with English, I had problems. I had problems. And somewhere here, I started to make researches for my studies for how I could educate my kids, for cooking, for whatever, very different topics. I searched things in English. And when I started doing so, my English got better. Because I couldn't find all the time things in German, so sometimes I searched in English. I translated some things. I, in the beginning, struggled a lot. I didn't understand. Yeah. So I had problems with English for a long time. I think it was even more than 9 years, maybe 10, maybe 11 or 12. And before I started speaking with native speakers and watch English stuff and listen to English things, I couldn't really understand or speak or have a conversation in English. So even if I studied a lot. And Russian, of course, my Russian is not perfect. I think I would have problems to read a book or something. I didn't try. I didn't find the time, because if I need to read something, then I really need to do it for my work and my studies. But so yeah, after 6 weeks, I was possible to understand, to have little conversations.